Yes, thank you. Hi there. I'm Alexander Kosogubov, and I proudly represent the Zabbix integration team. Today, I'm delighted to acquaint you with one of our new integrations. It's media type for sending alerts from Zabbix to the event-driven Ansible. What we're going to discuss today? We're going to dive into the whys behind this integration, how it actually works under the hood, details of setting it up from both ends, and of course, we will look at the real-world examples. Well, when your infrastructure grows, you system administrators start dragging a bunch of typical monotonous tasks, and orchestration systems were created to help administrators in this situation. And one of the most famous systems in the sphere is, of course, Ansible. And I bet a shiny coin that good chunk of you have worked or at least heard about the system. And we all know that with Ansible we can automate routine tasks. Now, here's the thing. Not all tasks fit neatly into a schedule. That's where our hero event-driven Ansible starts in. With the system, some action will be performed based on events from other sources. And how it actually works. First, an event is created in Zabbix. Then, Zabbix server checks this event with all action in Zabbix. And if any action is matched, Zabbix server executes operation from this action, and one of the operations is sending messages through media type event-driven Ansible. Next, with the help of media type script, details of this event will be packed to JSON and sent to specified address. And it's all from the Zabbix side. From Ansible side, this message will be received with webhook plugin. Then this event will be checked with a possible condition in rulebook. And if any condition is matched, then action specified in the rulebook will be executed. And how to configure this media type in Zabbix? Firstly, if you don't have this media type in your Zabbix installation, you need to download and import it. You can find this media type in the official Zabbix Git repository, but the easiest way is find it on the page of integrations or by link at the bottom of the slide. So after importing, you need to create a service user, but please, during creation, make sure that this user will have access to the necessary host and host groups. On the media tab, you need to specify type as event-driven Ansible, and in send to field, you need to specify the address of UEDA server, as you can see on the screen. Next, as usual, you need to create an action and select as an operation sending through media type event-driven Ansible. And as recipient, select our service user from the previous step. And let's discuss how to configure this integration on the event-driven Ansible side. First of all, you need to install EDA server. You can find the full instruction by the first link at the bottom of the slide. And you will use it to run your rulebook in the background. But to develop and test your rulebook, you need to install Ansible rulebook. And full instruction you can find by the second link at the bottom of the slide. And then you need to download the last component. It's official Ansible collection, ansible.eda. You can do this with the help of command ansible galaxy collection install ansible.eda. Then you need to create the rulebook, and on the screenshot you can see the example of the rulebook, but please don't worry about the content because we will discuss it thoroughly, but a little bit later. And the last step, you need just to run this rulebook with the help of command ansible rulebook. But please make sure that you set the same port in your service user and parameter for webhook plugin in your rulebook, because of course it's really important. This integration was implemented as media type, so when notifications are dispatched, they become visible within your Zap interface's problem list. And as customer, this affords the capability to access all details about the event, as well as short information about sending notification to the EDA. But please pay attention to the status. If you see status sent, it doesn't mean that any action on the EDA side was performed. It means that notification was sent and rulebook started and only started checking this event. Because, for example, on the EDA side, this match can be skipped because this event doesn't match with any conditions. And we don't have any feedback about the result of the rulebook. Another crucial point to highlight is within this integration, only trigger-based problem event can be sent to the event-driven Ansible. So as you dive into crafting your rulebook, remember that each event that comes you, it's a problem and trigger-based event. Recovery and update event wouldn't be sent at all. But maybe at the current moment you have a question, what exactly will be sent to the event-driven Ansible? On the slide, you can see the full list of fields, and it's a really big list, but please don't try to understand and remember every field, because part of these fields is a service fields. I mean, as example, event ID, trigger ID, and so on. And the most interesting fields we will see on the next slide. At the current moment, the most important for you is understanding that data will be sent in JSON format, and the set of rules will be the same with each event. You don't need to check availability of fields, because if event tag are empty in the event, this field event tag still will be in data, just empty like current tags in the event. And as mentioned earlier, let's shift our focus to the most practical and useful fields. And let's start with tags. For example, you have 5 tags, and 2 of these tags has the same name location. It's location Berlin and location central office. And during sending, this structure of tags will be converted to the dictionary structure, and SK will be used tag name as value list of tag values. And please pay attention to the line 4. We have 1K location, and as value we have value of both tag location in a list format. It's Berlin and central office. And it doesn't matter how many tags we have or how many duplicated tag names we have. We always will have a list of tag values, even if we have only unique tag names. And if you talk about the usefulness of this field event tag, you can use it in a condition for rulebook for filtering event by tag name or tag value. And next field, it's host groups. This field is not so difficult for understanding as tags, because it's just a list of Zabbix host groups. And in rulebook condition, you can check that this host is linked with some Zabbix host groups. Next useful fields, it's event number severity. You can use it for filtering events. For example, you can create a condition for search event if the event severity more critical than warning. In condition, it will look like event underscore and severity greater than 3. You can do the same with the verbose version of this field's event severity, but it will look like event severity equals warning or event severity equals high and so on. Yes, you can do this, but it will be really over-engineering. And in this case, the ideal approach is using the severity level as a numeric value. But to be honest, in some cases, verbose name of severity can be useful too. And for this reason, we have added these fields. Next useful field is acknowledged. This field contains text yes or no and indicates the status of the event, acknowledged it or not. For example, if you have a big support team and escalation rule with a delayed sending notification, when a few teammates begins to resolve the problem, he can acknowledge this event, and on the rulebook side, you can check that this field has a value yes, and this event was acknowledged, and you can skip this event because your teammate works on it. Next fields are event name and trigger name. Firstly, these fields are useful, of course, for understanding the point of the event. And secondly, you can create condition by name. You can search by full name or by part name with the help of regular expression. But naturally, for making useful and obvious conditions, you need to understand which data you receive and which value contains in receiving data. For debugging, you need to create a short rulebook with with action, print event, or debug. You can see this action on the screenshot in 12th line. Then you need to add easiest condition and run one of these rulebooks. Then you simulate data for trigger switch to the problem, and Zabbix server sends notification to the EDA. On the EDA side, our rulebook checks your condition and perform action, print event or debug, and print full action to std out, and you will see all data. And with the same approach, you can debug and check condition in your rulebook. You create a complex condition, then you simulate data for trigger and check that this trigger matches with your complex and difficult condition. If it's true, you will see a full event. Else, you will see notification in the terminal that there are new events, but they don't match with any condition, and the events were skipped. Let's dive into the details and paint a clear picture about the rulebook. If you have a word with Ansible playbook, it means that it's not so new and difficult for you, because mostly it's the same, but more oriented for if-then scenarios. Please check out the screenshot. It's a real-life rulebook. Rulebook uses the YAML format and contains set of rules. On the first level, you can see parameters name and host, and I think that these two fields are known to our listeners, but if anyone doesn't know, in the field name, you usually need to specify the name of action in your rulebook. And in the field host, you usually specify the host from your inventory file for using it during execution of your rulebook. Next important field is sources. In this field, you need to specify a source of the event. And if you talk not only about our integration, you can use any plugin from any Ansible collections. But in our integration, we always will use a webhook plugin from official collection ansible.eda. And in the context of this webhook plugin, we task with the definition of two crucial parameters. It's host and port. When it comes to the host parameter, it's all about pinpointing the address from which server will accept all incoming connection. As far as the port, it's a designed entry point ready for catch alert from Zabbix. Next, it's rules. In this section, you can set a list of available rules, and each of them contains condition and action. But please keep in mind that order of rules is very important for rulebook, because each rule will be checked step by step. And if any condition in the rule will be matched, then action specified in this rulebook will be executed. And other rules will be skipped. What does it mean? If you specify a very common condition at the first place of your rulebook, and this rule will be matched with a lot of events, then this rulebook will execute only the first rules, and other rules always will be skipped. And what can we use as a condition in our rulebooks? There are a lot of conditions, and I specified only a small part of available list of conditions, and the full list you can find by link at the bottom of the slide. And I recommend you to check it because this list is constantly updated and you can find more and more available conditions. Also on the website, you can find a lot of examples of using and description of additional parameter for some of this condition. And as a condition, you can use in and contains for checking that field contain any value. You can use is defined for checking that any fields was specified on the event. As an example, you can check that any tag was specified. Is search and is regex can be used for searching by text field. As example, of course, it's a name. Is select can be used for searching by list. For example, it can be a list of host groups. And for creating complex and difficult logic, you need to create several conditions and put between them logical operator and or. And let's see how we can use these conditions with the data from Zabbix. First of all, as example, we will use event tags. We have already discussed these fields. It's a dictionary, and sk was used tag name as value list of tag values, and it always will be list. To use some field from this event, for your condition, you need to specify path event.payload, and then you can specify the path to every field from your event. And as we discussed, event tags, it's a dictionary, and it means that we can specify full path to each tag and check value of this tag. In the first example, we used tag component and check that value equals configuration. We did it with the help of construction is select and full path event.payload. Then we specified event tags, and then we specified the name of tags component. Also, we specified the operator equals and value for search configuration. You can see this example on the right screenshot in the 10th line. In the second example, we use tag location and check with the help of construction contains that one of value of this tag is a central office. In the next example, we can check that tag scope was specified in the event. And the last example represented on the screen, it's the easiest condition, event payload is defined. You can use it for debugging and starting work with the rulebook because payload always will be defined in receiving data. And now we will see examples with another fields from receiving data. It's host group. It's a list, and we can check that this host is linked with the necessary Zabbix host groups. We can use construction is select and check that one of value equals web servers. You can see this example on the right screenshot in the 10th line. And the second example, but to be honest, with the same point, we need to check that host group contains value web servers. And as you can see, we can do the same check, but with a different approach and different conditions. And of course, you can combine several checks of host groups that host was linked with host groups, Linux servers and web servers at the same time. You can do it with two conditions and logical operator and between conditions. And the last slide with examples of conditions. For example, we can use event number severity and check the severity of this event more critical than warning. We use mathematical operator greater, and also we can use other mathematical operators. It's greater or equals, less, lesser equals, and so on. Next, it's acknowledged. And as this field contains text, we can check a certain value of this field with operator equals. And the last example, it's searching by text in the field event name with the help of construction is regex. And this construction can be especially useful if you have an LG triggers and you need to check the trigger name without the name of entity. I mean, without the name of file system or without the name of containers. And as you can see on the screenshot, we have used all three examples in one rules, and we put operator and between conditions. And it means that this action debug will be executed only all three conditions in one this rule will be matched. So what is the option for action we can use in this rule? You can see the list of actions on the screen, but again, I recommend you to check the available list of actions on the website by link at the bottom of the slide, because during time they can add more available actions, and also on the website you can find description and example about each type of this action. Also, some of this action has additional parameter, and they are completely described in the documentation. But I need to select from this list the most common and frequently used action, And by my opinion, it's of course a run playbook for execution, any playbook by your choice. And you can see that I have used this action in my example. Also, I specify the name of playbook for execution with the help of additional parameter name and full path to my playbook. Also, as popular can be run model for execution one certain model without playbook. And of course, as popular, it's print event and debug, which we have already discussed. And to continue carry on discussing the action run playbook, we need to talk about the using variables from the event in the playbook. It's a really interesting and useful case when you use some fields from the event in your playbook. For example, it can be name of host, name of host groups, and so on. For using it, you need to specify a variable in format of Ansible with two pair of curly brackets and put between them path to the variable. And yes, this path look like path in rulebooks, event.payload, but in this case, you need to add Ansible_EDA before payload, before event payload. And as you can see on the screenshot, you can use these variables in any place of your rulebook and playbook. And now we will see the complex example to consolidate our new knowledges about this integration. As example, we have a host with three tags. It's a target Nginx, class software, and component configuration. This host was linked with three host groups: Berlin, Linux servers, and web servers. As an example, we need to run a playbook for changing Nginx configuration if this event was received. In the screenshot, you can see structure of this event, and we have discussed these fields, its event tags and host groups. And these two fields are absolutely enough for obvious filtering in the rulebook side. And I believe that this example has a lot of possible solutions, and I can present to you only one of them. And now let's talk about the strategy. My first move was to establish that this host has host groups, web servers, and Berlin. To understand that this service is web service and located in Berlin, and to understand that this event related to the configuration, I have checked tag component and search value configuration. But that's not all, because I am pretty sure that we can add to this condition another one checks for checking, as example, target Nginx. Because in your infrastructure, you can use not only Nginx as a web server, you can use Apache, and maybe you can have different playbook for these different web servers. And that's all for me for today. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in and giving me your time. Thank you.
Thank you. We have some questions in the chat. One of them is event-driven Ansible available, well, integration with event-driven Ansible available in Zabbix 5.0?
To be honest, technically, you can adapt this integration to 5.0 because we have this integration only in version 6.0 and 6.4. But technically, you can adopt this script. But you can find it on the Git repository or in the page of integration.
But officially 6.0 and 6.4?
Yes, officially it's only 6.0 and 6.4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can Zabbix receive the overall results of the playbook, for example, if the play failed?
No, sorry, but we don't have any feedback about the result of the rulebook.
Mm-hmm. Okay, probably, I think you could probably do some scripting or something like that and maybe send it to Zabbix, but officially, then no. What's the minimum version of Ansible that supports this?
I believe that it's if to talk about the Ansible rulebook, it's the first version. And about EDA, I think that it's two first version because when we started this integration, they have unstable version, and now a stable version is the first, and you can use it as a minimal version.
So yeah, someone's asking about more real life use cases. I think currently we have what we have, but maybe we'll figure something out and write a blog post about more real life use cases or something like that along the lines. Maybe throw some ideas our way. What exactly would you like to see or something like that, and we'll try and simulate it or actually perform it and then write an article about it. We do have a blog post that I shared written by Alexander here, containing some examples. So take a look at that. And once again, these slides and the recordings will also be available online, so you can follow that. But I think they serve as a decent basis for figuring out what you can do with this integration.